whisker starts with W. It's a perfect topic for today. So a box and whisker plot is a way to show data. This should be centered nicely in the middle, but it's not. Sorry about that. Now, the box in the middle shows your interquartile range. You basically have things separated into a minimum, quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and the maximum. And depending on how the box is spread out, it can quickly give you an idea of what the data is looking like. So we have a number line under here because the size or how far you spread it out is proportionate. So there's 25% of the data is above the median, or from quartile 2 to quartile 3, the median to quartile 3 is more spread out in this example than it is from quartile 1 to the median. And it gives you a little bit of a range of where each of the 25% of data falls. So we have to look at box and whisker plots and be able to read them, understand the data that comes from them. So here's an example. Box and whisker plot, write down the median mark. So this is a scale of 1 to 7, probably IB students. We had somebody score a 1, somebody score a 7. 25% of the class got between 6 and 7. 25% of the class got between 3 and 6. Thank you. So if we wanted to write down the median mark, well, that would be the mark right in the middle. That would be a 3. What's our upper quartile? That value is 6. Interquartile range. This is a number that goes from quartile 1 to quartile 3. Quartile 1 is at a 2, quartile 3 is at a 6. Our interquartile range is 4 because we go from 2 to 6. How many students received a mark greater than 6? 25%, but it doesn't say what percentage of students scored a mark greater than 6. There's 32 students in total. 25% of 32 is 8. So we would say that 8 received a mark greater than 6, which is really good. It's a little bit of problem solving in this next one. Not too bad. You've got your box and whisker plot. They tell us the interquartile range is 20 and the range is 40. Write down the median value and find A and B. Okay. How did you do? Okay. If my interquartile range is 20, this is like you ask your questions, right? Because sometimes I'm going to make an assumption. If you don't ask a question, you understand it. Interquartile range is 20. That means from here to here is 20. This one's at 30. This one has to be 10. The range is 40. That means from here to here is 40. Well, if this is 4, 40 more would make this at 44. We can make a box and whisker plot on our calculator. So we have data, so we're going to open up our calculator, put this data in. Clear down if you have any other data in there right now. Five 5.7, 4.2, 7.9, 3.1, 9.4, 4.2. So what have we learned from our calculator already? We can go stat over to calculate, one var stat. We have no frequency this time, so I'm going to delete it. For those of you that this menu doesn't come up, you just need to push enter and it'll automatically only take from list 1. If you want frequency, you have to do list 1, comma, list 2. If you want the higher, like it is actually quite kind of nice on this version that it shows up on a little screen for you, and if you don't have that and you want it, you can upgrade your operating system. Okay? Some calculators don't upgrade to the highest level, so if you have a TI-83, you'll probably still need to do the old having to write things in, but if you have a TI-84, you can upgrade it to the newest system. Push enter, and it tells us our minimum, it tells us quartile 1, it tells us the median, quartile 3, and our maximum. But what we're going to do now is we're going to put this into our graphing calculator. So now that we've got our stats, we're going to go second y equals number 1 for plots. Notice that there was a histogram, and if you go further, there's also a box plot. In this case, we've got our list 1, our frequency. Each item only occurred once. But if you had a group data, you might have list 1, list 2. Okay? Once we've got that and we hit graph, okay, right now I still have other things in my graph. Have you ever, oh, I want to show you something. Push the on button. Have you ever graphed something and been like, oh, I forgot to change my window, and you know right away what you wanted to do, but it's like graphing, and it's like, feels like it takes forever. You can either A, wait for it to take forever, or B, push the on button, it'll automatically stop where you're at, and then you can change it. So I'm like, oh, I don't want these graphs, so I'm going to go to my y equals and clear them out. Okay? Now that I've cleared them out and I hit graph, do you see my nice box and whisker plot? No. Okay? Is my plots turned on? Did I turn my plot 1 on? No. So then I might want to go second y equals number 1, turn it on. That could help. Now I'm going to hit graph again. There it shows up. Does it show up nicely? Maybe not. Some things we could do, we could go zoom number 9 statistics. That will give us a nicer range of our data. Okay? And if you hit the trace button, it'll automatically start you at your median. It'll start you at your median. You can use there. Oh, there's quartile 3. There's my maximum. There's my quartile 1. There's my minimum. So now when we're drawing this on our calculator, we don't draw anything on our calculator, but when we draw it on our paper, we can label each of those points underneath so that we can show the scale that we're using. Obviously, from 4.2 to 6.7 is longer than 6.7 to 7.9. That shows up on our graph. So for this one, it doesn't say that you need to draw a box and whisker plot. The box and whisker plot would definitely get you your quartiles, your median, so it could be helpful, but you could get it just through the stat calculate as well. And once you have got your answers, I'll put them up here so you can check them. Okay. Check how you did. A, B, C, D, and E. And there's your interquartile range. Here we can have a bit of a check, write down the values of P and Q, write down the median class. The median class goes from 75 to 85. What you're looking for is the 47th person, because there's 93 people, plus 1 divided by 2 is the 47th person. If you add as you go, 17, 14, 17, 7, 14, 21, plus 17 makes 38, plus 20 makes 58. Well, the 47th person happens in that middle one. It's not the median class because it's the biggest. It's not the median class just because there was 7 of them written and it happens to be in the middle. It's the median class because the 47th person happens to be in that section. And then when calculating the mean, you have 7 people, and the average of that first grouping is 50. To 3 sig figs, 79.1.